Salutations, listeners. Si valas Leo.
Valamugulis.
Nanu.
Thank you for tuning in. This is Three Men in a Basement, and we are the Ultra Crepidarians. My name is Colin McLeod.
Merkel Pierre.
Action Jackson.
And in this podcast, we like to review movies. And we deliver to you, the listener, an average schmuck's opinion about hidden gems in the wide world of cinema. In this show, we try and target movies that are not total blockbuster smashes. We also aim for ones that are not so obscure that you couldn't get your hands on a copy, even if you wanted to. Instead, we go for that delightful sweet spot right in the middle. Movies that maybe you saw when they came out, maybe you heard about and want to see. Maybe these are the kind of movies that you need to go to a Blockbuster Video to go and acquire.
There is one left.
There is. So if you live in Oregon...
I'm going to make a controversial statement here. Hollywood Video?
Ooh.
No.
Didn't they cannibalize Blockbuster there near the end, and then joke's on them, they died?
They tried.
I've got good memories with Blockbuster, but I'll also throw my hat in with Family Video because they really stuck it out there.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Right. Couldn't you get haircuts there too?
Probably.
They were a diverse crowd.
Yeah, they were doing their best.
So yeah, we review these movies from Blockbuster, let's say, and let you know whether you need to go to Blockbuster to find them, watch them, enjoy them, make them a part of your weekly routine.
Yeah, rent them for a 3-day or a 7-day rental.
But remember to be kind and rewind.
You got to rewind those DVDs. It's not fair to put that back on them.
I think they have a device now where you just plug the tape in and it will rewind it, so you can rewind it while you're watching another movie.
God,
dude, that's
right.
Modern technology, am I right?
It's amazing.
We've come so far.
Multitasking.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we get into the sort of
meat and
potatoes of this movie, I do want to talk about one thing real quick. So we, the Elcreps, have put our brains to work, and like we often say, there's kind of a balance between the quality of a movie and the amount of people who've seen it. We are strong believers that movies that not a lot of people have seen tend to be enhanced by that fact, and movies that everybody has seen have a tendency to kind of be
watered down.
Yeah, what do I want to say?
A little too ubiquitous.
Yeah, it detracts from the movie.
At the very least, it detracts from the viewing experience. You're not finding a hidden gem.
You get oversaturated with other people's opinions that you're not capable of forming your own.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why, a movie that everybody has seen,
like a Star Wars,
or Shrek. You
Shrek?
don't talk to people about Shrek and Star Wars. You don't try to hey, have you heard of this movie? Because of course they have.
Yeah, and because of that, if somebody for whatever reason hasn't seen these movies, you've got a litany of problems with that, right? You've got their expectations have probably been set very high. People probably have derided them for not seeing this movie, which maybe builds resentment. You've got people who, if you've really gone your entire life and you're in your 20s or 30s or 50s and you haven't seen Star Wars, there's probably a reason you haven't seen Star Wars. And it's
probably a healthy amount of reticence there.
Yeah, so there are a lot of reasons why you might want to lower the score of a movie if everybody's seen it, and vice versa, enhance the score of a movie if nobody's seen it. Because that's fun, right?
Yeah.
It's fun when nobody's seen a movie and you're like, oh shit, nobody's heard of this.
I can't wait to talk about it.
I gotta tell everybody. So we, the Elcreps, put our heads together and we created a metric that hybridizes these two things, that will enhance a score if very few people have seen it, and it will lower a score if many people have seen it. And we need your help, the listening audience, with the creation of this score. So if you would like to help us, we have created a very simple survey that will gather information about your familiarity with upcoming movies that we're going to review on the podcast. And we're going to use that information to create these adjusted scores. And we're pretty excited about it. And it's a way for you to kind of participate with what we do and for us to sort of feed that into our review and ratings of these movies. So if you want to be a part of that, please reach out to us at 3, again, that is the number 3, menandabasement@gmail.com. Just send us an email and we will put you on the mailing list. And maybe once a week, once every, week and a half, you'll get an email from us or a text message if that's what you prefer, just soliciting your feedback on your familiarity with, an upcoming movie. And then that'll help us out. And we're going to start delivering this new metric probably next episode. All right. So that's out of the way. Remember to reach out to us if you want to be a part of this. So this week, what did we watch?
Spheres of Anger, I think it was.
Yep.
Very, very, yes. Balls of Fury.
Ooh.
Yeah, I took it. We passed it around.
Yeah.
That's
Like
good.
a bowl.
Like a joint at a party.
Yeah.
Okay, so Balls of Fury. Should we start with cherries?
I think we've all,
We've all seen it.
yeah,
Yeah. So, Mark, you said
fucking love this movie.
how long's it been for you?
When did it come out?
2007.
2007. Okay, so the last time I saw it was 2007. So,
Yeah.
so good.
Xmas Jackson Flax and Waxen.
Same for me. I saw it when it came out.
Yeah.
I have seen this movie dozens of times. Like, this is one of my... I mean, I have many of these, but this is one of my go-to, like... Put it on in the background. I know every line in the movie. I'll just fucking let it happen.
Do the
I don't have
dishes,
to. Yeah, I don't have
fold
to
the
focus
laundry.
too hard. I love those movies. They're like slipping into a warm bath, right? You're you're comforted and you know exactly what's going to happen. And this is like, even for somebody who's never seen this movie, it's a very low stakes movie. Like, you know, it's super chill.
For me, that's Bridget Jones' Diary.
I would not have anticipated that.
Not a lot of through lines there.
No, I don't. If I were a betting man, I would have lost a great deal of money on that one. Explain yourself, sir.
I love chick flicks. Sue me.
I love chick flicks too. Even among chick flicks, I feel like it's a fine movie, but I feel like it doesn't lead the pack.
It's no You've Got Mail.
No, You've
Oh,
Got Mail
God,
is a classic.
that's a good one.
Return to Me, always a good one. While You Were Sleeping.
Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, which is on our
Yes.
list, that's going to come up soon. That's another classic.
Yeah.
16 Candles.
Oh yeah, but 16 Candles, I feel like is
I inevitably
there's-
turn it on and then I just sit down and watch it.
there's like teen movies, and then there's like chick flicks. I don't know if I would put chick flick that as chick flicks.
Either way, this movie is not a chick
It
flick.
is not,
No.
but there are chicks in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Balls of Fury, 2007 movie, rated PG-13.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think, like, you know, mostly for adult themes. You know, they're not showing tatas. They're not really swearing very much. It's just sort of
Yeah.
very adult themes. And the comedy is, you know, kind of
would you call
raunchy college type humor.
Would you call this, like, is it squarely in PG-13, or is this, like, a soft PG-13?
I wouldn't say soft. I would say, I would give this like a medium plus 13.
Yeah.
Which I feel like our rating scale changes every time. We're like, how strong of a this type of rating would you get it? It's like, yeah, like medium plus, you know, between A- and like 7.
Yeah, everybody gets it. You know,
Yeah.
that's algebra.
An hour and 30 minutes on the nosy, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
It's a 90-minute movie.
perfect 90-minute movie.
Yep.
Okay, genres.
We got comedy, crime, sport.
Okay, I did not think that they were going to put sport in here, and I was actually waiting to jump in to be like, you would have to call this movie sport.
I mean, it
Even though it's
starts
a
with the
comedy.
Olympics.
It really, I mean,
Yeah.
it's the main feature of the film, right? It is about ping pong.
Yeah.
And I feel like, even though it's a comedy, I feel like a lot of people would want to leave that off and say, oh, it's a comedy, it's not a sport movie. Sport movies do not have to be
It lives and dies on
Drama.
the ping pong table.
well,
So-
yeah, right? Kind of like, you know, you can't make them, you know, the Mighty Ducks and not call it a sports movie just because it's like funny or a family movie.
Yeah.
It's a fucking hockey movie.
So one of the people that I talked to back in high school, like my guidance counselor told me that I had to go to some like therapist. But he explained to me that ping pong is the perfect sport because it involves every center of your brain. It activates every center of your brain while playing.
I suppose that's probably true. Like,
Coordination, timing, muscle memory, patterns, you know, athleticism. Like you have to be relatively coordinated to play ping pong.
this is a man's game.
Yeah.
Or a woman's game.
Yeah.
This is
a person's
This
game.
is a person's game.
This is a person's game.
like yeah.
Buckle up, because we're about to play a person's game. Yeah. I do want to, like, there is an interesting tidbit. One of my favorite podcasts, Stuff You Should Know, they did a whole episode on ping pong, and there's a ton of fascinating shit about ping pong, but, like, I think among them is that ping pong is actually a proprietary eponym. So like Kleenex or Band-Aid, where we call all facial tissues Kleenex and all bandages, adhesive bandages, Band-Aids. Ping pong is actually a proprietary eponym.
Really?
That is the name of a game. Table tennis is actually the proper name of the sport. And ping pong was like introduced
Get the hell out of here.
outrageously recently, like in the early 20th century. It was introduced by a game company. I'm not going to say Hasbro, but, a Hasbro type company literally just invented this game and like, I'm going to make up a number, but let's say the 1920s. And we're just like, yeah, it's this like fancy game from the Far East. And it's like, or you definitely just made it up and now it's a thing.
It doesn't detract.
No, I mean, it's still a baller game. I'm not knocking it, but I thought those were some fun little factoids about that I learned in that podcast. And definitely check out that episode if you guys want to know more about it.
Is there a Hydrox version?
Oh, I'm sure there are, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure there are. Even though the irony is Hydrox was the OG.
Yeah.
Hydrox was the...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is there a predecessor to ping pong?
God, did they rip somebody off? I don't think so.
Okay.
The impression I got is I don't think they ripped anybody off, but I'm sure there were, like, competitors. The Ouija board was the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, just straight up invented by the toy companies. Okay, sorry. Got a little far afield there, but I hope you learned something.
So yeah, comedy, crime, sport.
Are we missing anything?
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, there's a little bit of romance, but it's not a focus of the movie.
No.
IMDb has the description as a down-and-out former professional ping pong phenom, Randy Daytona, is sucked into a maelstrom when FBI agent Ernie Rodriguez recruits him for a secret mission. Randy is determined to bounce back and win, smoke out his father's killer, arch-fiend Fang.
Okay.
That's a lot.
First of all, that got everything, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But also, like, what an amazingly colorful description using phenom and arch.
And maelstrom.
And maelstrom. Like, just casually dropping that. See,
Dude, it just adds.
Yeah, I know. People get frustrated when I try to, like, incorporate colorful language sometimes. And they're like, don't be pretentious. And it's like, I don't find it to be pretentious because I'm not using it to like.
I find it to be descriptive.
I'm not trying to like intimidate anybody or condescend anybody. In my opinion, language is like painting, and I'm not just going to use one color.
No.
I'm going to use as many colors as I possibly can because it's fun and it's cheery and it's not boring. And that's fucking awesome.
I'm going to use all the colors I can see. Both of them.
I'm going to use both of them colors.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of four-lettered colors.
Yeah.
But I like some rare colors too. I'll throw a periwinkle in there.
Oh yeah. I don't know what that is.
It's a blue. It's a type of blue.
So it's blue.
It's blue. Yes.
Okay.
Do you know blue?
Yeah.
All right, he knows blue.
Yeah.
You know blue?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
We go way back.
Yeah.
Ooh, buddy.
I think periwinkle was Crayola's billionth crayon. That was.
I'm sorry. What was that word?
Periwinkle?
Periwinkle.
No. The other one.
Billionth.
Nope. Not that one.
Crayon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
How many syllables are in that word?
There's one in Michigan. It's crayon. It's crayon, sir, not crayon.
Wait, is it? We got to get to the bottom of this.
Oh, this is a regional thing. He's saying it because he's from Washington.
You mean he's from other?
He probably says pecan too.
What?
I don't even know what that is.
A pecan instead of a pecan.
No, it's a pecan.
Pecan. Peas in a can.
When I'm on the road, I absolutely do.
Yeah, so Mr. Rogers, allegedly, they invited him to make that, like, billionth crayon, and it was periwinkle, from what I understand.
His billionth crayon?
Yeah. Collectively, their billionth crayon.
It just sounds like a character in something.
Crayon doesn't even sound like a real word anymore.
Okay, so we got to get to who the fuck is in this, because the list goes on and on and on. There's a lot of people, too. Dan Fogler.
Classic.
Dan Fogler is funny as fuck. You might know him from the Fantastic Beasts franchise. He plays Jacob Kowalski, the kind of like... I don't want to insult Dan, because he's a friend of the podcast. He's like, maybe just under average height, and, he's a bit rotund. not unlike myself. He was also, my favorite Dan Fogler thing is Fanboys.
Yeah.
He plays Hutch in Fanboys, the guy who's like detailing his car and lives in his mom's garage.
He was great in school for Scoundrels, too.
Yeah. So, next up, we've got a guy. His name is Christopher Walken.
Oh, I thought you were doing George Lopez there.
Yeah, no, I was not. But that's a good.
Yes, we got Christopher Walken. I mean, what was Christopher
Absolute
Walken?
unit.
Can we list all the movies Christopher Walken was not in?
Yeah, it'd be faster.
But no, The Deer Hunter, Catch Me If You Can, Hairspray.
He's got 142 IMDb credits. If you
just-
don't know who Christopher Walken is, you've never watched a movie.
That's true.
Agreed. I'll agree with that.
Facts. Born in 1943. For people who are
He
interested.
played goddamn King Louis in The Jungle Book.
Dude, I love. Did you see?
Did
you
he?
see
In
him?
the OG one?
Not the OG one, the one with Bill Murray.
There was a Jungle Book with Bill Murray?
Yes.
Yeah, he played Baloo.
Yeah. It was the live action version.
From like the 1990s or the recent one?
The
so-
relatively recent one.
Oh, okay. Because there was
Pretty sure ScarJo played...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. If it's ScarJo, then this is way after.
So
way
we
after my
got
time.
George Lopez. I love George Lopez.
You know what?
Yes.
It's funny. I do not.
No.
I don't. I love him in this movie. I think he acted the shit out of this movie. I don't find him particularly funny. But I appreciate how hard he turned it on for this role.
Yeah.
I really like George Lopez in this movie.
Now, we got to talk about the elephant in the room. There is an absolute megastar, total hottie in this movie. James Hong.
Yeah.
James Hong, man. Fucking
He is so awesome
Dude, he's great.
in everything that
everything he
he does.
does.
He plays the dad from Kung Fu Panda.
So good.
Big Trouble in Little China. He plays David Lopan.
Yep.
Wasn't he? Okay, and I don't know if this for sure, but didn't he play what's his face in Mulan? Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was
what's his
the.
name? He was the scribe, not a scribe,
Yes.
but he was like
No, yeah,
assistant
no,
to the
I
emperor.
want to say it was.
Scribe, I
I
would
want to say it
definitely
was
say Scribe.
Wu or something, but I. Yeah.
Oh, dude, his delivery, his voice
He's
is so
so
iconic.
funny.
So great.
Yeah, it's everything about him. His voice, his delivery. He's amazing. Also, he always plays that like character from the Far East that's got like a an accent and shit like that. And the dude was like just straight up born in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
It's just like a testament to how great of an actor you can be, that you're putting this on and everybody's just like straight up convinced. Like,
Yeah.
what a fucking baller.
He played Ryan Reynolds' IRL body in R.I.P.D. if
Yes,
you've
he
seen
did.
that.
You're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I never saw that.
I saw both of them. The first one's worth watching. The second one doesn't exist.
Yikes. We got Maggie Q in this. She's very, very familiar.
Oh yeah.
But
Listen,
why?
we would all like to be familiar with Maggie Q.
Why?
Oh, yeah.
Why is she familiar? Because honestly, like I couldn't tell you what she's been in that
Really?
she's familiar for, but like she just has like that face.
I don't know. Insurgent, The Prototype, Fantasy Island, Designated Survivor.
Mission Impossible 3.
Yes.
here's-
Oh, no, Rush Hour 2.
Oh, yeah.
She was Girl in Car.
All right, I got dragged into watching like the first season of Designated Survivor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That might be it too.
Allegiant, Stalker, Divergent. She plays Nikita in Nikita and Hokey Dinas.
Yep.
That is a great show. Priest, she plays one of the priestess characters. She's badass in that movie too. She's badass in every movie.
She's pretty badass. Speaking of badass, Terry Crews is in this motherfucking movie.
I love Terry Crews.
Genuine hero.
The way his pecs move.
Terry Crews is so amazing.
He's a flautist.
I have no doubt.
was-
I'm not. I can't even.
Oh, I've
like,
seen it.
I believe you. I just. You say that, and I just believe you
He
offhand.
can also play the drums without lifting his hands.
You just think
He did that on an Old Spice commercial.
Does he just like lean over and
No,
let his...
like he just activates his muscle groups independently and played like a 32-piece kit.
God damn it, dude! Terry Crews can do anything.
Anything.
It's fucking phenomenal.
That dude slays.
I might even elect him president.
I would.
Oh, President Dwayne Elizondo Mountain Dew Camacho.
Absolutely. So good.
Terry Crews, you might know from Idiocracy, plays President Camacho.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
He was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He was in, the Expendables franchise.
Longest Yard.
Yeah. I mean, Terry Crews' White Chicks was kind of one of his breakout roles.
I feel like Terry Crews is one of those celebrities who's transcended the movies that he's in.
Yes.
And he is famous for being himself.
Yes.
Almost like a Tom Hanks. He's just...
In Brooklyn Nine-Nine, he plays Sergeant Terry Jeffords.
Of course he does.
He's basically cast as himself.
Do anything he
and
wants.
he refers to himself in the third person the whole time.
I love it.
A couple of people that you'd know by face, perhaps, but not by name. We got Robert Patrick, who everybody will remember as the T-1000 from motherfucking T2 Judgment Day.
Yep.
The dude who walks through the bars, the liquid metal guy.
Diedrich Bader.
Yep.
Diedrich Bader played the voice of Batman in the more recent animated series.
I always know him as Cousin Jethro Bodine from the Beverly Hillbillies movie from the 1990s. And also was the main fella's neighbor in Office Space. The dude who wanted to do two chicks at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who else we got?
Aisha Tyler. You would recognize her most definitely, but you would probably recognize her voice from Archer.
Yeah. Yeah, she's iconic for that for me. Because I love that show.
Yeah.
Archer. I think she's also hosts Whose Lines It Anyway now?
Yes. That's definitely where I would know her.
She replaced Drew Carey.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thomas Lennon.
Oh, I love Thomas Lennon.
Thomas Lennon is fucking amazing. So, Sergeant Dangle from Reno 911. Mm-hmm. He was in I Love You, Man. He plays one of the mixed-up dates that ends up coming on to Paul Rudd's character. Yeah, he is just fucking amazing.
I love Thomas
You'd
Lennon.
know Thomas Lennon if you saw him. And then Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa, who
most
is...
badass human on the planet.
He's so fucking cool, I can't even handle it. He was Johnny Tsunami's grandpappy, and he was also motherfucking Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat.
Dude, he is like the most badass person alive.
He was Krull in Planet of the Apes.
Full stop.
He was also the leader of the fucking Sang Brotherhood in The Phantom.
For me, personally, and maybe this is like more indicative of like my age or whatever, my generation, but Shang Tsung, like you said,
fucking Shang Tsung, man.
Yeah.
He will never escape that role in my mind.
That just the image of him like pointing at the camera, going, "Your brother's soul is mine," and you're just like, "Oh no, not his brother!"
So badass,
so good. Okay, so. Do we have anybody else we want to shout out real quick? But we David Koechner has a bit role in this. The guy with the droopy mouth from like Anchorman, and he plays Chet.
Yep. We had Patton Oswalt.
There's Jason Scott Lee.
Yep.
Oh, Patton Oswalt. Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah. Oh, Jason Scott Lee. Yeah. You're right.
It's got like that troupe, of actors,
which I think like is always, in my opinion, is sometimes a good sign and sometimes a bad sign for a movie, right? Like. A movie like, what is it, like New Year's Eve and Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah.
It felt like it's just fucking a dumpster fire. And it feels, because I think it feels like all of these people were under contract to create this ensemble cast. And they were like, we can just draw in a whole bunch of suckers to watch this movie that's only made for this one day's release. And we can just cash in as much as possible. Versus like a movie like this or like Old School or something like that. Like movies where like the cast list goes so deep and you get the vibe that like it's so deep because I think these people have a lot of friends that they like that are also famous people, and those friends are doing them favors because they like working together. Right. And they like, I'll come on set for a day and play a fucking bit part. Sure.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
Just I get that vibe from this movie.
Yeah, the bit characters, like they look like they were just having fun with it.
Yes.
How are you getting Christopher Walken to come in here and play like the lead antagonist? Like you can tell that he was having fun with that role.
Yeah, and that his was not even close to a bit part. He had a huge part.
Oh yeah, I would venture to guess that a lot of these guys signed on for the project because of Christopher Walken. They'd be like, "Well, fuck, if Walken's doing it, I have to.
Must
do
be
it.
good."
Yeah. I don't know this for sure, but like I bet there was a lot of ad-libbing and like just kind of flying off the cuff with it.
Yeah. We don't typically call out writers, but Thomas Lennon, I noticed for the first time, was actually a writer on this. And I think this movie, I'm actually a little disappointed in its IMDb score. I'm not going to say it because we don't do that on this podcast, but like...
it's wrong.
I think it's incorrect.
Yeah.
And I also think, like, ignoring that score, I think this movie is a good showcase of Thomas Lennon's writing ability and, like, specifically, like, the comedic dialogue. Right. Like, just the dialogue is so goddamn funny.
I equate this movie with, like, Anchorman for me, in that it's, like, a similar kind of vibe where, like, you go in to have a good time.
Yeah.
And if you're not trying to have a good time, maybe it falls flat. I don't know. Like, I love this movie.
It's so fucking quotable, too.
So can we move on to recommendations?
You got a big old thumbs up on this side of the table.
I got you, fam.
Yeah, I'm going all the way up 2 thumbs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, tickle that hemorrhoid.
I don't think there's anybody I really wouldn't recommend this movie because I feel like
it's not even raunchy to the point where I wouldn't like
right, exactly. It's not the kind of thing that's like if I recommend this to somebody and they end up not liking it, I don't think they're not going to be like offended or like, you know, how the fuck could you like so I didn't recommend them Tokyo Gore Police. You know, it's like
that's why I equate it to like Anchorman. Where
exactly.
It's just universally palatable, and like the only reason you're not going to enjoy it is if you're not trying to have a good time.
Now,
yeah.
I say this all the time. I wouldn't recommend this to my wife, but my wife said something to me today that actually shook me a little, and that was, if I hadn't married you, I probably would have never seen another movie.
Wow.
Whoa. She says to the man who is one of the hosts of a movie review podcast.
A very universally praised and prolific podcast, nonetheless.
Absolutely.
You know, wow. Whew.
So are we ready to... Did you mean to do that?
I did.
That sounded like it hurt.
Whoa.
No, it's pronounced
You're right.
So does that mean we're in spoilers?
We are on spoilers. Don't listen any further. God damn it. If you don't want any spoilers, like, what are you doing? Turn it off.
Turn it off.
Actually, turn it back on.
Turn it back on.
We need the views.
Don't turn it off.
We need the views, okay?
I love you.
I lust you.
Ooh.
I'm like lukewarm on you.
Fair.
I'm like something I heated up in the microwave and then forgot about because I had to poop and then came back and it's like it's still a little warm.
Yeah.
I feel that way about you.
Right. You know, I mean, it's
the listener. I'm talking, not you guys. You guys are like the thing that I hold off the poop so I get you nice and hot.
Right. So, like, what you're saying is, like, you're into them right up to the point where, like, you gotta poop.
It's like the coffee
Exactly.
that I put in the microwave because it got too cold after I, didn't drink it. And then I watched an episode of Orphan Black, and then it ended on a cliffhanger, and I've got to put the next DVD in the PlayStation, and then I go, shit, I forgot about my coffee. But it's still above room temperature.
Yeah. You know what? That's very articulate of you. Articulate. It's very articulate.
I think we're being pretty articulate here.
That happened yesterday.
All right, so this movie.
So what? What happened in this movie?
Dude, okay, so it starts off with... I mean, would you call it a flashback if it starts off this way?
No, I think it's where the movie starts and then it flashes forward.
Yeah. We got a young Randy Daytona. Side note, badass name.
Right? Born for NASCAR.
What is he at? Is he at the Olympics? Like, what is
Yeah, he's in Seoul, Korea.
Yeah, he's a 12-year-old playing in the Olympics, just taking names. And, I mean, it's a relatively, like, quick...
And he's a long jumper?
Yes. Yes.
So what?
Long jumper who also plays ping pong inside it at an Olympic level. But he has a bit of a horizontal.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And a lateral.
Yes.
So yeah, he's playing ping pong in the Olympics. It's going very well for him. He's just sort of slaying opponents. Comes up to play East Germany, and he ends up matched against a player named Karl Wuschlag, played by Thomas Lennon.
Fantastic.
And his dad ends up putting money on the game.
Because he's a gambling addict.
We should mention that, like, just preceding this, there was this sort of montage explaining his sort of meteoric rise to, like, fame. Kind of in, like, maybe a Bobby Fischer style. In the way that he captivated America's imagination and sort of, like, represented America on the world stage at a young age. But at the same time, maybe like, Bobby Fischer mixed with like Michael Jackson, because there was also like endorsement deals and like, you know, he was in McDonald's commercials and shit.
Yeah.
You know, Bobby Fischer didn't really do that. So
I always get Bobby Fischer mixed up with Bobby Farron.
That's fair.
Don't worry, be happy.
Couple of Bobs.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So Daddy put some money down with Shang Tsung, and
It's always a losing bet.
Yeah, he should have known better than that.
right. Last time I saw Shang Tsung,
Is that racist? I don't know if that's racist.
It's not. It's oh god.
He's got a complicated name.
I can't weigh in on
He's got a
that.
complicated name.
But anyway,
just intentionally fuck up a name like Dan Smith, like an hour later, and people would be like, "Well, he just has trouble with names."
right. So
He's not racist, he's just dumb.
oh man, I mean, there's a whole conversation that could be had around that.
Yeah, I know. Those two things have a relationship already.
Right?
They hold hands.
Anyhow, okay, obviously not a good idea. And so,
Randy panics, as I would too. Like that kind of pressure would fucking slay me.
Oh, yeah.
He loses the game. His dad gets hauled off, like, to get killed, and he takes kind of a nasty spill. That's how he loses the game. He gets disqualified and looks into the camera and says, "I'm going to Disneyland."
Yeah.
Because they kept telling him, they're like, this is what you say. This is what you say when the camera's on you. Here's what you say. And they hold up, like, the cue cards. And he's like, all right, Randy, what's your line? Yeah. And he holds up the cue card. And he's like, I got this. Don't worry about it.
So,
then he, biffs it. And he's laying on the ground, concussed. And just looks at the camera and goes, I'm going to Disneyland.
Yep. And
which
this
he never
follows him.
lives down.
Nope.
Yeah, full disclosure, I'll bring it up later, but this was my quote because it just kind of follows him his entire life, and like it is the through line of ridicule for him. So Daddy dies. We flash forward. What was it?
19 years.
Well, I thought it was 14 years. Either way,
It was many a year.
Yep.
many a year.
Roughly a decade and a half. And what is he in, like Reno?
Yes.
Yeah.
Doing
Some hole in the wall casino, doing like a
Matinee show.
lunch buffet entertainment.
The Peppermill.
Oh my god. But no, I mean he's impressive with his with Rickety Rack.
Yeah. So he has a show, kills a guy, as one does. It's Reno.
Yeah.
He ends up getting approached in his dressing room by David Lopez's character.
George
Lopez's character.
David Lopez.
I'm not good with names. It's not racist.
Don't you cut this out, David.
God. Fucking damn it, Dave.
Anyway.
What's his name?
Adrian Rodriguez.
Adrian Rodriguez, allegedly, tries to recruit him into the FBI to get back on the circuit, win a bunch of games, and get invited to a tournament that Fang, the bad guy,
Fang,
is throwing so they can get a lock on this guy's location and, blow his whole operation, because he's not just the bad guy in ping pong, he's the bad guy in
Everything.
other arenas, too. He's just a generic bad guy.
which is just hilarious because they take him and like you're thinking that like wow he's like this like super skilled player, but they just take him around to like other ping pong players who are like much better than he is at that time, and like I'm like just thinking to myself like why didn't you get them?
You're right, right.
Why? What are you doing?
Took this guy out of retirement to compete against people who have been actively competing for 20 or 30 years.
Yeah, to be trained by other. Yeah, I don't. It doesn't. Who cares, man? It's
There are a number of loopholes in this movie,
Doesn't-
believe it or not.
doesn't matter.
So they end up taking him to a local high school gymnasium where a tournament is being held, and he gets his ass kicked by an asthmatic.
This was Patton Oswalt's move. It was so great, dude. Patton Oswalt is such a fucking turd.
Yeah, he's good at playing like a twerpy shit.
Yeah.
His nickname locally is The Hammer.
Yeah, he's endorsed by Boost Mobile. It's like right on his
Fucking
back.
legendary.
So they realize pretty quick that Randy needs a trainer, so they end up taking him to Chinatown and introducing him to Mr. Wong, who runs the Happy Mushu Palace, and then does ping pong training on the side. And Mr. Wong, along with his niece,
Maggie Q.
played by Maggie Q.
Shizmat.
Mark's Shizmat. It is a Midwestern accent. Shizmat.
Yeah.
They run the Happy Mushu Palace and train new ping pong players.
Doesn't go well. They're
It does not. They don't train Guilo.
Round eye.
Yeah.
They kind of push him off until they explain, like, oh, by the way, we're doing this all to get Fang. And then Mr. Wong, who was Fang's former master, and Fang also lured his brother, Maggie Q's character's father, tried to lure him into the dark side, and then when he tried to break away, Fang killed him. So, killed his brother, former pupil. A lot of history there. A lot of history.
Yeah, a lot of backstory.
But his cooperation with the Guilo does not go over well.
He's not racist. He's just dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. You can be stupid. I can be stupid.
I'm well practiced at it.
I can be stupid. Anyway.
I'm not playing dumb.
Doesn't go well with the local ping pong...
Lords.
Yeah, I guess.
The elders.
Yes.
Which, like,
the
can
Chinatown
you
elite.
get more elderly than
James Hong.
James Hong? He seems like he would be on the upper limit of the elders in any community.
He doesn't have a Fu Manchu, so...
He did in Big Trouble Little China.
But not in this movie.
No,
Yeah,
but
fair. Yeah.
I feel like once a Fu Manchu, always a Fu Manchu.
If only that were true.
Well, that's a
That
story
like
for another
wanting
time.
look in your eye. I'm not sure what that's meant to convey, but
Yeah.
Anyway, the locals trash the Mushu Palace, and
The Happy Mushu Palace.
yeah, in order to restore Wong's honor, more or less, they need to go to this, like, I don't know, what would you call it, like a back alley,
like 2 steps away from an opium den. Like it's a dark, smoky basement where people are smoking, betting, and playing games of luck.
The seedy underbelly of table tennis.
So one of my quotes leads off with that. When they walk up, James Hong says to Dan Fogler's character, Randy Daytona, "Welcome to the underbelly of ping pong, where fortunes are won and lost. I'm exaggerating, of course, but you get my point. People bet on ping pong here."
so good.
One of my favorite moments in this scene, he's going up against this legendary player known as the Dragon. Best player in Chinatown. No one has beat the Dragon. And the Dragon's enforcer...
Sorry, real quick. Beat the Dragon is both a euphemism for something that some of us might do in the shower. Mm-hmm. It is also a great band name, and I'm jotting it down.
All right!
Beat the Dragon.
Yeah.
That comes after Enter the Dragon. So you enter the dragon, then beat the dragon.
I think we're getting like dangerously close to domestic violence here.
Yeah, that's true.
You gotta punch the wyvern.
Nobody...
Sorry.
Love it!
It's gonna be such a hard podcast to edit because I don't know like what I should take out and what I shouldn't.
Just fucking leave it all in. Okay, so the Dragon's enforcer.
Yeah, so the dragon's enforcer is like, hey, you have to pay to play. And he slaps this $5 bill on the table. And he's like, it's $4 to enter. Do you have change for a 5? This is all I got.
So good.
Classic Eddie, am I right?
Fucking Eddie.
It's so dumb. It's so good. I love it.
So he plays the dragon. How did that turn out?
Dude, kicks the dragon's ass.
3-0.
Yeah.
Dragon.
Also, the dragon turns out to be like a 9-year-old girl.
Okay, that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
He
Kicks her
played
ass.
the game and he won.
It's true.
She cried like a baby.
Yeah. Like a little bitch.
And then he gloated.
Sack up. Come on.
God.
Dude, we all love pushing over children.
Yeah, it's true.
God.
And we all have children, so we get that opportunity pretty often.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a daily occurrence around here.
See, I focus less on pushing down and more on picking up because she knocks her own self down.
Yeah,
pick
you
them
need
up
to
and
help.
put them
You need
down.
to help out in that arena.
Yeah.
So, naturally, having whooped the dragon's ass, as planned, they catch the attention of Fang, and they get an invitation to the tournament. The Tournament of Balls.
The balls of fury!
Yeah! Yeah! Okay, so we got a quick little... It's not... Is it a montage? It's not a montage. But they make their way to Fang's compound. It's not a montage.
No, there may be like a teeny tiny montage where they're like getting prepped and getting their materials ready. You know what I'm saying? And then the travel is also sort of part of that montage.
That part's great though. 'Cause, like, there's this clue written on the back of the golden paddle, which is the invitation, and they're trying to decipher the clue because it's all cryptic. And he's like, "Oh, okay, so where two hands meet, like on a clock, which is noon, which is Wednesday, 9 letters, and it's written in a haiku, which means that it's going to be at an airfield," and they're like...
Japanese company, Haiku Industries.
Haiku Industries.
Private hangar there.
And she's like, "Wow, how did you know that?" And he goes, "Well, it's written in English on the back of the paddle. See, like, on Wayne Airfield, Wednesday, noon."
So good. So good.
So they show up to the airfield, and there's this beautiful private jet, this jet black. It's sleek. It's sexy. And he's like, "Follow me." And they start walking towards the plane, and he hangs a left. And they follow him, and the camera pans over to a fucking charter bus.
Like a bus out of, like, 1975. Like, this bus has
even
been
a
running a minute, and it's got some stank in it.
George Lopez says something to the effect of, "What are we going to Tijuana?"
Yeah.
So they end up somewhere in Central America.
It's actual subtitles.
You can't see my hands. I'm doing air quotes. Somewhere in Central America at Fang's compound. And they get introduced to everybody who's there, all of the other competitors. Turns out Karl Wurstag is there, along with Freddy Fingers.
Oh my god.
Fucking Terry Crews.
Terry
so
Crews.
good.
He's so over the top in it. I fucking love it.
Characters are so good.
And then a few other sort of like minor characters that are there.
Like a Japanese guy that's wearing like a sumo diaper, and there's a couple of other actors that don't have any lines, but they're playing up against these.
Just kind of like it's just to add color to the field, right? Like,
Yep. It's very much like a Mortal Kombat like nod. Not only because we've got fucking Shang Tsung there, but like it's a tournament to the death.
we learned that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you lose a game of ping pong in this arena,
You get a blow dart to the neck.
and by blow dart, it's really just like a golf tee.
Yeah.
Shot into the neck. Only maybe like a 1/4 inch. Kills you though.
Probably poisoned.
Kills you dead.
I don't know if it's poison. Maybe it's just
Just a very accurate blow dart that will hit the right nerve to just stop your heart.
that's how it works.
Straight to the jugular.
So like in very quick succession, we lose Shang Tsung.
Because they were late and the soup got cold.
Yep.
Right. I think Terry Crews was the.
So before he has his first match with Terry Crews, they have to stay their first night there.
Oh.
And so he stays his first night there.
Yeah.
And as they are sort of as they are sort of showing him to his room, he gets invited to partake in one of Mr. Fang's courtesans of pleasure.
Which are selected worldwide.
Yeah, and they are trained in both the sensual and the erotic arts. And he thinks about it, and he kind of says no at first, and then when he hears that they're so highly trained, he says, I don't want to be rude. Which actually, I will say, is probably... And there's a lot of this movie that, like I said, the whole thing's quotable. I quote a lot of this movie randomly, but I think that is the one that I say the most, and it's the one that, like, I use so casually, like, I don't think people know it's a quote, but, like, if somebody's trying to twist my arm on something, and I'm always like, well, I don't want to be rude.
That's like me with Princess Bride. I always say, very well, I accept.
Yep.
And so the courtesans come in, and they are lovely.
Yeah.
Quite lovely.
Very handsome gentlemen.
Yes.
A bunch of like late 20s
muscle dudes.
Beefcakes.
Yeah. So good. All wearing tank tops.
Fucking Diedrich Bader.
They're bros. They're all like...
Oh, yeah.
Like,
They're all named Chad.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
And so he is not as interested as he
Once was.
Not quite his jam.
And so he tries to, like, weasel his way out. Doesn't work. She selects one, and then the rest of them leave, and he gets informed that, like, the guy has to stay there, otherwise he will get a blow dart to the neck. So the guy stays the night in his room.
Play some Boggle.
They end up playing Boggle all night.
You cannot defeat him. He's the Boggle Master.
Yeah.
So he ends up going to his first round. Plays Freddy Fingers.
Ah!
Wins. Freddy Fingers dies.
Yep. Yep.
And we
And
learn
they haul him off in a sheet.
we learn that
Sudden death is actually that.
he should have understood what sudden death meant.
Yep.
Right.
Well, what did you mean when I said sudden death?
Yep. I think we have like another like match or two with unimportant characters, but it kind of leads to a bit where Feng takes him out on like a tour of the compound and kind of like exposes him to his criminal side. You know, they manufacture weapons that can slip through metal detectors. Shows him this fancy ping pong table
That electrifies his opponents.
Yeah, really, they're just kind of setting up a final
The secret to this ping pong table will shock you.
Foreshadowing?
No, I actually work as a salesman for that ping pong company.
Oh, cool.
Like on the side. But
How much?
it's one of those like we don't put prices in the windows. You got to get
A quote.
a quote. So
That's fair.
$2.
not $2, but perhaps $3.
2.5.
Free fitty.
Yeah.
So gets a tour of the compound. He feeds that information to
Lopez
and David Lopez. Feeds that information to George Lopez's character. And the next day, while he's basically just like fucking going through the thing, playing people dying left and right, he and Karl Wurstag are just fucking like slaying through the ranks. George Lopez goes and places a tracker, yada yada. After a beat, the
boss battle.
The FBI doesn't show up when they should because the tracker had been placed.
Oh, okay. So, like, at one point, Lopez tells him, you know, hey, like, meet me in the bathroom. And he
Meet me in the bathroom in 2 minutes.
Yeah, he goes to do that. And then, like, just out of nowhere, like, he jumps out. I forget exactly how it happens, but, like, he just shatters his arm.
He shoves
shoves
a roll
toilet
of
paper.
toilet paper in his mouth and then pulls him in like partially into a stall and then smashes the stall door on his arm and breaks it.
That's like his grand plan to, like, get him disqualified and, like, get them out.
Yes,
of there.
in the tournament where they kill the losing person, you will get out by simply breaking your arm and having to leave for medical reasons.
Yeah.
And, like, Feng plays it up. He's like, oh, well, I'm sorry that you're injured. I really would have liked for you to reconsider my offer. You know, email me at Feng. You know, I don't remember his email address. But
Prada-fan. Prada-fan 61 or something like that at gmail.com. Prada-fan is all one word.
And then says it like that, too.
So he's like, he mutters something in Chinese and they throw.
He says, Shaka Ging Hao, which apparently means let that be a lesson to you.
Yeah.
Defenestrate these men. So they throw him through this paper door, and he basically reveals his grand plan. He's like, you think good guys are the only ones with trackers? And he pulls off Rodriguez's name tag and slides it open to reveal a tracking device. And they were like, you got us! Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah.
He's forced to...
He's forced to play Karl Wurstag.
Yeah.
And there's a pretty sick musical montage.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't go well. Feng gets bored, decides to kill Karl, and brings in Maggie Q and forces them to play. Yada yada. It sort of
meanders.
It meanders a little bit.
It does involve one of my quotes, though, so I'm going to say it here. So he serves, and she just lets it bounce off of her, and she's like, I'm not gonna play you. So he serves again, bounces off of her, bounces onto his side of the table, and bounces off, which is her point.
He's using her body as the paddle.
Yeah, and she's like,
which
Randy,
sounds so much sexier than it is.
Really does. And she says, Randy, I'm trying to sacrifice my life for our love. Stop being such a dick.
So good.
I'd be lying if I said I hadn't heard that one before.
Yeah.
You
get called Randy a lot?
I do. I'm not proud of that fact.
Fair.
But that's private.
That's between me and the Seven Dwarves.
Dopey was always my favorite.
Spanky, Clanky, and Fred.
Whatever a man and a woman and another woman with a penis and a midget do to a donkey with a balloon, that is their own goddamn business.
Hey,
logistics.
What Sneezy does in the bedroom is his business, right?
I think we all know what Sneezy does in the bedroom. Coke.
That's fair.
He does coke.
Yep.
Okay, so
Fang gets bored quite quickly of this like display of love and decide that he's just going to kill both of them. And this just kind of like turns into the climactic.
George Lopez steals a gun, starts firing, everybody scatters.
Yeah.
And then they basically end up like, they scatter, they get recaptured by Fang. He forces them into that area with the ping pong table, the electrified ping pong
Randy
table.
actually forces them into that. So Randy comes up
yeah.
with the master plan. He's like,
Kinda,
we never
sorta.
figured out who Wong's, best pupil was. And Fang was like, fine.
You got me!
Yeah.
I think we
So-
all know.
I think, yeah, fucking...
Just randomly
Wong
is, like, in the
goes
room.
like, I think at this point we all assume that it is Randy.
So Randy's master plan is that he's going to play Fang to the death on this electrified table with special vests that don't let you let go of the paddle.
Yep.
And
I love how, like, the electrified vest thing, he focused on the fact that it helps you hold the paddle and neglected to mention that if you miss a point, it shocks you with increasing voltage
Yep.
up to and including killing you.
yep,
Because those batteries pack enough wallop to kill 3.8 men.
it's true.
That could be a Duracell.
It could be. It could be.
Yeah, Duracell, if you're listening.
Yeah, well, how about a sponsorship deal?
Yeah, we'll take money.
I will take my money, Mark's money. I'll take
wait.
Jackson's money, maybe.
That was the Energizer Bunny.
Oh, I thought that was...
Never mind.
I thought he was beating
Yeah.
off two dicks at once.
Right.
No, that's on Fridays.
That's what. Okay. Yeah, it is a Wednesday.
Yep.
Sorry.
Not yet. It's a Tuesday. Okay, they play. Everybody else scatters.
They scatter because, incidentally, I don't forget exactly how it happens.
Randy serves and knocks the self-destruct button that will blow up the entire compound onto the ground, incidentally arming it to explode.
Which
To
I feel like to explode. Which I feel like when you're in like evil villain university,
Yeah.
I feel like there should be a class on like do not install self-destruct mechanisms.
It never works out.
It is
No.
it is historically it's never worked out. It has never worked out to the advantage, should I say, of the evil mastermind.
Was
Not
it,
on screen.
Was it the president? Was it President Scrooge? What is that from Spaceballs?
Scroob.
Scroob.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It just never works out.
Doesn't work out. Literally every Bond villain has been fucked over by this. And if they just one, it doesn't even have to be a class, a goddamn seminar, just
Yeah,
like
do
a symposium.
A webinar.
Yeah, literally just like some type of PSA that's like, listen, guys, we
Send
know
an email.
we know everybody likes this, we know it's fashionable, but like
Maybe it's not the villain. Maybe it's the contractor.
That's a possibility.
Maybe there's a limited number of contractors who will work with that network.
I think you've just described the plot of Rogue One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Star Wars. We don't discuss a Star Wars here. Well, we've been known to. So everybody scatters after the self-destruct starts to go off. And Diedrich Bader, fucking cousin Jethro, Fang has a panda. And you just hear, Diedrich Bader go, I'm going to save the panda. And then you hear his little feet go. And then you like hear him like kind of gets quieter. And then he comes back. He goes, Panda's dead. And then he keeps running.
Well, because he kind of like set it up. There was like a point earlier in the movie where Christopher Walken's like showing him around, and he's like, "Look at this panda. I don't really know what they eat. Could be dead." And then he just like walks away.
So good.
It's just a glass pane.
You don't know how hard it is to get a panda.
Panda's dead.
Terrible.
So it wraps up kind of exactly as you'd expect, right? So they're playing the pingy pongies, and everybody else is escaping, and then they meet up.
It's
and then they
revealed
make it home.
that the rules of the game are altered so that you don't have to bounce it off the table. One bounce still counts.
Yeah.
One bounce still counts.
The director.
That's a band name.
That's a band name.
Well, yeah.
Or is that a song? One bounce
I think
still
that's a
counts.
song.
But who sings it?
Beat the Dragon.
Do they? One bounce still counts. Panda's dead.
Panda's dead.
Panda's dead plays One Bounce Still Counts.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Panda's Dead's a good like final track on an album.
I feel like Panda's Dead is like it brings in like Dead Kennedys.
A little.
But I don't think Panda's Dead is. I feel like Panda's Dead is like an early 90s alt rock grunge adjacent band like Blind Melon.
Yeah.
I feel like Panda's Dead.
And specifically like East Asian punk band before K-pop.
I do love K-pop.
Yeah. So does Mina.
Does she? Is she big into K-pop?
A little bit.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. It wraps up. Put a bow on it. Roll credits. Anything else on description of Der Filmen Guden?
I mean, the big final boss battle. They're fighting on this rickety bridge, and Randy outsmarts Feng and gets him to shock himself by scoring a point. He falls off the bridge and dies in the river.
Because Fang's got no backhand.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No. I love this movie.
What do we like about this movie specifically?
The comedic timing, like this is just if you're here to have a good time, like it just serves it up.
I will say there's nothing fascinating about this movie. I mean, the cinematography, the soundtrack, nothing about it is like legendary, but it's all perfect for this genre.
All the pieces are like more than the sum of their parts.
Yeah. So the acting in this movie is fantastic. Like Dan Fogler absolutely delivers.
He's so good in this.
George Lopez, aka David, really delivers on his role too. Maggie Q is just hot.
She's also really funny.
She's really funny.
She's not the kind of person who I think gets cast for her like comedic chops, but I think her delivery in this was pretty good.
Yeah.
And James Hong, I would watch him do anything.
James Hong is hot.
Yeah.
This is spicy.
Yeah.
He's spicy. So for me,
that boy is a spicy dumpling.
Yeah.
It's not racist. It's just dumb.
Everybody's got dumplings.
Oh my god.
Everybody's got dumplings. There's
Yep.
That's one for Panda's Dead.
That's
So I know this is like super subjective, but like I love a comedy that like takes it right up to the point of like stupidity, and like it knows where to stop. Like some comedies. And it's super subjective, so, I don't know how much of this is applicable for you guys, but, like, I don't like stupid comedies, but this is very much a stupid comedy, but,
Yeah.
This is
for
a stupid
me,
comedy.
like, it...
This is not a Seth Rogen, James Franco stupid comedy.
I fucking but I love
Yeah.
those.
I love those for a
can't-
different reason, though.
Like,
I just watched Neighbors. That's a fucking stupid comedy.
Yeah, like, there's like, it doesn't
I don't know. I
cross
feel
the
like this
line
one.
for
I feel
me.
like this one is more shtick than Neighbors.
Yeah, but, like, what is it? It's, like, it's intangible. I compared it to, like, Anchorman.
I feel like Anchorman is a good comparison.
Yeah, but, like, okay, Land of the Lost, I felt went too far with it.
Yeah.
Oh god, I love that movie.
I don't know. I don't. Maybe it's impossible to like
I
actually.
put this
define.
one on the same shelf as Dodgeball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. For some obvious reasons too.
Yeah.
It's a sport comedy. But like I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say. Like
It's an intangible.
I actually wonder if like this movie was trying to capitalize on some of Dodgeball's success.
It's entirely possible.
Was this before Dodgeball or after?
I think so. I feel like Dodgeball was maybe 2005. I feel like this preceded it maybe, or that preceded it by
Very
maybe 2
similar.
years.
ESPN 8 the Ocho.
If it's almost a sport, we've got it here. I feel like I totally agree, and I feel like that what you're talking about, the sort of like withheld comedy where they could go further and they don't. I feel like that's a hallmark of like Thomas Lennon. I feel like that's why Thomas Lennon's work in like Reno 911 was so successful, and sort of something that I feel like it's difficult for people to replicate, and it's also like why that show stood out so much is because they made it feel both organic but also not like going so far as to make it silly.
Yeah, in some ways it's almost like an abstract humor where it's just difficult to define.
I feel like we're talking about this because we're really trying to dissect it, but I feel like somebody watching this is going to like hear what we're saying and just be like, it was a bunch of dick and fart jokes.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's why we're here.
That is why we're here.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be ultra crepidarians if we weren't here trying to pull meaning out of dick and fart jokes.
Exactly. I love it.
I agree. I thought the acting was fantastic. Writing was awesome.
What about things we might not have liked?
Find something I don't like about this movie, but I will say I kind of already touched on this, but the cinematography was boring. There's no
Really?
creative shots.
What? Okay, this is something that I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
Because I'm going to challenge this point.
All right.
I'm over here sweating.
Yeah. There were the almost like Matrix inspired shots with the ping pong. Where
Yeah.
like, they'd
Oh,
hit
like
it.
Freddy Fingers, and they did like the 360 around him.
Yeah. Okay, question. Was that cinematography
Yeah.
or was that CGI?
That was CGI.
No, it was still cinematography though. But also the reason to get the 360. The ball might have been hovering, but that was not 2007 CGI. They either had multiple cameras or they swung a camera around him while he held very still.
But I mean that's the only thing in my arsenal that I can push back on that with. But
That's fair. That's fair. I still think that the cinematography was boring.
I'm kind of neutral on this point, so I'm not gonna.
I will say
Take
there's
sides. I do think that the argument that you make, Mark, was fairly convincing. That point was, I think, pretty devastating because that was like that was actually kind of a creative.
But that's the only thing I can use to push back on that.
I will just say there's something about a flyover cam that I really love. I've always loved the flyover cam, and of course they used to do it with helicopters and shit before there were drones.
Before there were drones,
But
the disdain in his voice,
and obviously
before there were drones.
this movie didn't have the budget for that, so I'm not going to hold that against it. There could have been more interesting.
You're upset because there weren't more flyover shots.
Like they could have had like a POV cam while they shoved the trackers up their ass,
Absolutely.
That's true.
and we could have gotten like kind of like
Look who's talking.
yeah, sort of
shot.
like inside look at Dan
Fogler's
and,
asshole.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe
That's what I want to see.
I get that. I get that. We all
inner
do.
space vibes. Something
Good reference.
Something deep in there.
I mean, I felt like the camera was stationary for entirely too much of the movie. There wasn't a whole lot of all the President's Men, like Aaron Sorkin moments. There weren't a whole lot of like walking cams. I don't know.
That's fair. I mean,
I'm a slut for creative cinematography. I'm also just a slut.
I was gonna say the first part you got right on.
okay. Things we didn't like.
Yeah, I feel like there probably are things, but nothing's bubbling to the top of my brain that would sort of suggest that like this is the greatest movie ever, which I don't think is the case.
No.
But I think it was like reasonably well executed, and the stuff that like wasn't the greatest in the entire world. It's not the kind of thing that I'd like hold against it.
Yeah, like I said, the cinematography wasn't interesting, but they're not trying to win awards for creative cinematography.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I can't. I don't think I can come up with anything right now.
All right.
Does anybody else have any quotes?
I got a couple more.
I threw mine out early. It's certainly not the quote that is going to be iconic for this movie. I'm going to Disneyland, but it came up at multiple points throughout the movie.
It is important.
Yeah.
For the movie,
but when stacked up against like other quotes that are like just objectively more hilarious, it falls flat. So it's more of this is an important foundational quote, but it's not something that
When they begin his training, they tell him that he's going to be training with a wooden spoon instead of a ping pong paddle, and he's like, "This is ridiculous. Nobody can do this." And Maggie Q obviously shows him up and just like absolutely destroys him with a wooden spoon. So then the next part of his Miyagi montage is he walks into a Christopher Walken fridge and and there's like a bunch of like pig carcasses hanging on the walls and shit, and he's like, "This is ridiculous. You got me hitting balls with spoons and now I'm swatting flies." And James Hong goes, "You not swat flies, you swat bees!" And he like drops this box of bees and then just slams the door on Randy, and he's just fighting for his life swatting these bees with a fly swatter.
So stupid, so good.
I got one more that was this was a quote that they like led hard with when they were advertising for this movie. It was like in the ads and stuff like that. It's a really funny quote. But so like right before he has his final match with Karl Wustag, Thomas Lennon, Karl Wustag comes up to Randy Daytona and has this sort of like heart-to-heart kind of conversation and, kind of apologizes for his behavior and all this stuff. And then he goes, "But the truth is, you're the greatest player I have ever seen. Other than myself. Practicing in front of a mirror. Which I do. Every day. In the nude."
It's so funny.
He just keeps going with the fucking line. Oh, it's so funny. That's all I've got for quotes. Are we ready to? Are we Lurdern?
Yeah.
Can we?
Let's rate this bitch.
Let's rate it. I'm gonna jump in first. Or actually,
do it.
Oh shit! I gotta figure out my metric. I'm going to be the first one to say, Jackson. Go ahead.
Well, with that introduction, how can I refuse? I will give this 5.8.
Yeah, this is the tough part. Yeah. I mean, you could steal the tagline of the movie. I thought about it, but that's not creative enough.
No, it's not very creative.
I will give this 5.8 Guaylo.
Okay. Okay. I I think I actually might have a metric, which is not common.
That's rare.
Yeah. I am going to give this movie a 6.6. Freddy Fingers.
Oh, dude, I got lucky. I'm sitting here thinking like I just came up with mine. Okay, the point of our rating system is personal, right? It's personal.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going 8.8.
Nice.
I'm going
Solid.
real high here. Dead pandas. I
Panda's dead.
had a really good time with this movie. I fucking recommend it to everybody. And while I know that maybe that's a tad higher than maybe IMDb would give it, that's what I'm giving it.
All right. Well, that is all for the All Crep review. Thank you for listening. If you have any ideas for movie reviews, or if you'd like to participate in our new metric that is trying to hybridize our rating with audience familiarity, email us at 3, that is the number 3, menandabasement@gmail.com. Please be sure to check out Beat the Dragon, who's headlining for Panda's Dead. And Panda's Dead's #1 single, One Bounce Still Counts, just dropped, and it is on fire.
Oh, dude, it's legendary.
It is bouncing all over the place.
I listen to it in the shower every time.
You sure do.
As he beats the dragon.
I'm upset that I know that.
Yep.
You can also find us on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts. And until then, I am Colin McLeod.
Mark up.
Action Jackson.
And we will see you in cyberspace.
Resner.